of Zoning Board of Appeals for November 9th, 2020. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the meeting will not occur in person. The city has offered 4 options for access: Zoom, a call-in meeting. We are not on LTC tonight as the little school committee is, so we will move forward. Tonight's alternate voting member will be George Popko. At present, we have 5 members, so we will move forward with a quorum. We'll move forward under continued business, ZBA 2020-44 for a special permit, Pineapple Realty LLC, 17 Montreal Street, 264 Plain Street, 266 Plain Street, 68 Montreal Street, 65 Montreal Street, 201 West Manchester Street, 57 Montreal Street, 194 Manchester Street, 278 Plain Street. Section 12.5, subsection F. Pineapple Realty LLC is seeking special permit approval to store construction materials and screen loom associated with landscaping business at the property located at 17 Montreal Street, 24 Plain Street, 266 Plain Street, 68 Montreal Street, 65 Montreal Street, 201.1 West Manchester Street, 57 Montreal Street, 94 Manchester Street, and 278 Plain Street. The property is in the light industrial LI zoning district, and the use requires special permit approval under section 12.5, section F, and any other relief required of zoning ordinance. The applicant has requested a continuance to November 23rd, 2020, the ZBA meeting. Is a petitioner here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Attorney George Theodore, 133 Market Street, appearing on behalf of the applicant. We had to send out a revised abutters notice that included additional addresses. So that was done, and as a result of that, we have requested that the public hearing be continued to November 23rd's meeting.
Very well. Thank you, Council. How are things?
Things are well. Nice to hear from you.
Good to hear from you. Hopefully we'll be back in each other's company soon within the chamber.
That would be nice.
That would be very nice. At this point, I'd like to have a motion, Mr. Clerk.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Clerk Sean Callahan, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2020-44 to continue the public hearing in this matter to November 23rd.
We have a second?
Mr. Chairman, like, go George. George, got it.
We have a second by George Popko. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve continuance to 11/23/2020.
Member Peck,
Approve continuance.
Member Callahan,
Approved continuance to November 23rd, 2020.
Member McCarthy,
Approve continuance to November 23rd.
Member Procope.
Approve continuance November 23rd.
The council, you've been continued. Thanks for coming in, signing in. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening, council. Moving forward
You
under
too.
new business. Thank you, sir. Moving forward under new business, ZBA 2020-46 for variance, Glory Buddhist Temple, Inc. at 153 Hill Street, section 6.1.4. Glory Buddhist Temple, Inc. is seeking to construct a second-story addition to their existing temple at 153 Hale Street. The building is in the neighborhood business NMB district. In addition, the addition requires variance approval under section 6.1.4 for the off-street parking requirement and for all other relief required under the local zoning ordinance. The petitioner here this evening?
We are here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Greg Halladina, and I represent the Glory Buddhist Temple. That's the owner of the subject property at 153 Hale Street. And as you read from the notice, we're requesting a variance from parking requirements. Also with me is John Cavaney. He's our project architect from Cavaney Architectural Collaborative, and he's available as well for any questions the board might have. Just by way of a background, The Glory Buddhist Temple was organized back in 1989, and it is a church. It's been recognized by the IRS as a tax exempt religious organization under 501c3. They've had a loyal and supportive membership over the years. And by 2011, they purchased the subject property, 153 Hale Street. The time they purchased it, it was a warehouse of about 6,000 square feet. It was used for food preparation and delivery. And it had been vacant for a number of years when the Glory Temple acquired it. In January of 2012, I represented the Glory Buddhist Temple before this board, and we were requesting a variance back then in 2012 to change from the warehouse use to a temple use without required parking. And the variance in 2012 was granted unanimously. And there was a condition issued with that variance with respect to parking, and I'll read it directly. The quote is, "The petitioner shall work with DPD to redesign the parking plan for safe and accessible vehicle circulation while maintaining a minimum of 30 spaces." And the redesigned parking plan was put in place. We have maintained more than 30 spaces. In fact, it's been 34. And with this project, we are not proposing to make a change in the parking plan that's been in place. Now, we're before the board tonight because the temple has been working on an improvement project for the property for over 2 years. They have their financing in place with Enterprise Bank, and the project involves no change to the footprint of the building. All we're doing is adding a second floor as a private worship space for the monks and for an office. We applied for a building permit, believing it could be done as of right, based upon the zoning variance we had in 2012 being in place. But the building department did point out to us that we were adding square footage in the second floor. And even though it wasn't open to the public and it was a private worship space for the monks, it did increase the total square footage of the building, therefore requiring a new variance, and that's why we're here tonight. And we would respectfully suggest that there will be no increase in the intensity of use of the property by adding this second floor for private worship by the monks, who incidentally walk to the property from their adjacent residence. The use would not change, and the parking need would not change. The membership for the temple since 2012, I'm told, has been level. It may have actually gone down slightly. I'm told there are a number of temples in the city and the surrounding area, but they have had a loyal and steady membership, but the numbers aren't any higher than they were in 2012. And we have maintained more than the minimum of 30 spaces that were required by the 2012 variance. And the temple is never intended to use this upstairs space for anything other than worship in private by the monks and for their office. It's not open to the public. And in fact, in our dealings with the building department, I wrote a letter to the building commissioner, which should be in your information packet, in May of 2019, just confirming and stating that this is going to be a private worship space for the monks, and it was not intended to be open to the public. Now, as far as use, the temple has been using the parking that was granted by the variance in 2012. We're not aware of any problems. They don't have any regular scheduled public worship times. It's not as if you have a mass at 9 on Saturdays and 10 and 11 on Sundays. It's a little less organized than that. They do have a regular New Year's celebration, which does attract a number of people, but they hire a police detail for that every April. And they have been able to use neighboring property. Graciously, the neighbor across from 24th Street has permitted it, although I don't have anything in writing or anything of that nature. But we do have, in addition to the parking spaces, which have been adequate over the years, there are a number of public spaces available on the street. So in a nutshell, for the reasons that the variance was granted in 2012, we're just looking for what we are required to get a new variance because we've added space, and it's not going to change the use, the intensity of use of the property in any way as far as we can tell. So we're just asking for a new variance to comply with what the building department has told us we're going to need, since we are adding that private worship space for the monks upstairs. We have the support of a couple of neighbors. We went around and talked to them. We're not aware of any opposition to it from the neighbors. And with that, if there's any questions, the project architect, Mr. Cavaney, is here, and I can certainly help you answer any questions you might have. But we're just looking for what was granted in 2012 to be reaffirmed. And we don't think there's any change in the intensity of use that's going to occur.
Very well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. That being said, I'd like to open up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Pam?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the applicant. In terms of the second floor addition, I know you talked about it's more of a private use for the monks and for the kind of the administrative functions of the temple. You know, and I don't think myself as well see any increase of usage or intense use of the property or more excessive use of it. You know, do you foresee, is it like a schedule thing for the new addition, or is it just like another office building kind of?
Well, it's just going to be the second floor and what is the existing temple. The worship space for the public is downstairs. We've added a new stairwell to go upstairs, so now there'll be 2 accesses to it. But it is just for the monks who reside at the residence adjacent to the property. They can just walk over and use the space for private worship and meditation. And there will be a smaller office space attached with it. But no,
Okay,
we
no,
don't envision any change in the use from what's been going on since the variance in 2012 was granted.
Okay, no, I think it can be, you know, it can be granted. I think it makes sense, at least to me. You know, I wish you the best of luck. Those are
Thank you.
all the comments I had, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ben. John?
Thank you through you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is a great project. I like the layout of the building, especially the second floor, and it looks like it's going to fit in very well with the temple itself. Yeah, 34 spots on 153 Hale Street. I understand 24th Cambridge, which is adjacent. That's where the monks are in residence.
That is, yeah, it's a parsonage, for lack of a better term, yes.
Okay, and yeah,
And there
some
are 9
extra
spaces there. None of the monks has vehicles, so.
Yeah, okay. No, that seems, I think that's to the benefit, especially if you need if additional spaces are required with regards to this. So I really like the layout and the design. It looks very, very nice, and it looks like it's going to be a very wonderful project. I don't think there'll be any issues with this, especially if the second floor is going to be not going to be open to the public, only utilized for the benefit of the monks in their private worship and for office space as well. So there was like one condition that Stormwater put on. I presume you don't have an objection to that.
No, it is what it is. We'll have to do what the engineering department requires. So if that's going to be a condition of the board, we would object to it. But we view it as a separate matter that we have to address anyway.
Yeah, so we'll probably, I would ask that we just add that in as a condition as well. To approve. I can see that provided that condition is met, I can have full support of this. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions, but I really like the idea of taking this structure and turning it into something even more beautiful than it is right now for the neighborhood, and really making this a showpiece as far as the type of architecture that you're trying to accomplish. First, I'd like to ask a question of John Cavaney. Cavaney, did I have that name right? Cavaney, okay.
Yeah.
The floor plan, I think it's A101, shows a bathroom and I think a new stair in the worship space. So there's actually a decrease in square footage that would be available for worship with the new design, correct?
When you're saying a decrease, are you a decrease from what? The from what was beforehand on the ground floor?
Yes.
Yes, we were required to put in a second means of egress in there. So there is that stairwell in the back on the main floor,
Right.
takes up some space of the main congregation area on the ground floor that's available to the public.
So there's actually going to potentially even be less people possible in the worship space than currently is today, because you're losing floor area for that new
Yeah.
construction for
Yep.
the stair.
Yeah, yeah.
And I noticed that you do not have an elevator, so that clearly indicates that public cannot access the second floor.
Exactly, and we confirmed that with Commissioner Fuller that he is not requiring an elevator there because it's
But-
not accessible by the public.
So that basically clearly indicates that you do not have public using that. That's strictly, as you state in your letter, that it's for the monks.
Exactly.
Which is great again. The floor plan doesn't have a door on the stair on the main worship area. The door is on the second floor going into the new spaces. Just wondering why you don't have that closed off.
Let me closed off into the from the bathrooms into the bathroom area into the private worship space.
Or from the worship area into the stair going up to the second floor. You basically have the stair spilling out
On the main floor.
the main floor. Yep.
We decided to keep it open. We certainly could put a door there. That would be no problem. We could lock that as well.
It just I think seems like it would make sense where we're calling that like a second level private.
Yeah.
That it would actually be private from the worship space.
Yeah, we can certainly put a door there. That's no issue at all.
I think it'd just be important to be absolutely crystal clear where public and private are. And I think that there is definitely the beginning of private. And I think closing that off and securing it would make sense.
Yep, I agree with that. We can put one there.
Okay, so there's a comment, well, not a comment, there's a big piece in the comment from DPD about landscaping in the parking area. So I was quite thrilled to see what Market Basket did over there on Wood Street in their parking lot, where they took an old, paved surface with very little landscaping and turned it into something that really, I think, fits with zoning, with treating the edges with green space and treat. Your site plan doesn't try to do that at all. You really focus strictly on the building. Is that an oversight, or is it possible to review the site plan and develop something with DPD that addresses landscaping somewhat?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that we would certainly be open to working with DPD on site plan improvements. I think one of the comments from earlier was addressing the fence out front. The fence, as part of the permit package that we put together, was not part of this project. So we were really keeping the site out of it completely. But I think we would certainly be open to working with DPD on some improvements on the site, since we are doing stormwater management.
Well,
that would help beautify it, because I know the temple does want to make this. They're putting a lot of money into this building, and they want to make the site looks nice. So
I think you're right. I think that so we have a condition right now for you to develop a plan for the stormwater management, and I think that as you go through that, you're going to be digging up the pavement and developing some kind of way of treating the runoff so that you contain it on site. So you're already going to be doing site work. Yep. And so I think that in connection with that, you would develop a landscape plan with DPD. You do have landscaping that you're not showing in your site plan along the fence.
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah.
But you don't even show what you currently have.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. I think we could certainly work with them to define that a little bit more.
I think that it would be a condition I'd like to see, if supported by my fellow members, that we have a condition that you work with TPD to provide a landscape plan. Okay, and so we have the architecture with the stair and the door. We have the landscape plan. And then I think that parking, you have over 30 spaces. You were asked in 2012 to have 30 spaces. You have 34. Have there been any issues? I know you have a police detail in April for New Year's, but have there been any issues with parking in the neighborhood?
None has come to my attention, Mr. Chairman.
How about Christine? Do you know of anything that we've heard with the review of this application?
I didn't notice anything in the file that said there was issues with the neighborhood, but I can follow up with Fran and get back to the board.
Right. I'm guessing that it would have come up with the abutters being notified.
I
that someone
agree.
would have come forward and said, the parking is inadequate and we need to address it. But if it hasn't come up, I don't think we need to condition it then. And where you already exceed what was required of us and of you in 2012, and you're actually going to decrease the worship space, I kind of don't see it as an issue right now. I mean, typically I would have suggested that we have a 6-month review for the parking. I don't know if my fellow members are interested in going that far, or if we can just accept things the way they are, because I think they're an improvement. But I'll wait for my fellow board members to comment on that 6-month review, but I'd like to see the landscaping as a condition, as well as the closing of the stair at the worship space as a condition. And I think I would definitely like to see this done. Is there a time frame as to when this would take place?
As soon as possible. So I think, I mean, we've already submitted for building permits. So if and when we receive ZBA approval, then the building permit will follow not soon afterwards. And we're already working with performance builders, so local general contractor, they're signed up. So and financing is in place as well.
That's great. That's great. So this is a real project. That's
Yep.
great. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. George?
I think you're muted, George.
George, you're muted.
He's muted, he won't hear us.
George, you're muted, so I'm saying ask. There you go.
Yep, sorry about that.
Hi,
My
George,
dog
go
was
ahead.
barking, so I was trying to keep him quiet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with my fellow members. I think it's a beautiful project. You know, I do have to say that I've been into that building a few years ago, and it's very spacious. I think it would also, the improvement would be very nice for the neighborhood, would improve that area. I also agree with the, with the recommended changes. But other than that, I think it's great. I think more so as member Dennis mentioned about, the landscaping would be nice. But the stormwater situation, I think, we would want to consider. Other than that, I don't have any questions.
Thank you, George. Christine, do we have either Mark or Robert join us?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, so you've heard the board's comments. We do have the one condition with the stormwater, which is part of the comments and conditions from the city. I agree with Mr. McCarthy. Just in past practice and precedent, we have sent for a 6-month administrative review. Kind of keeps everything tied in place, and allows us to monitor these projects. I mean, it's a great project. It's nice to see that the temple is able to, you know, build an addition to have a private office space and prayer center for the monks. I think that's obviously a very important. The project and the property itself is very well maintained. The pride there is obvious and has actually stretched out into the neighborhood. So those are my comments. Any other comments or concerns? And if not, if the petitioner is agreeable to the two conditions, just make that an affirmative. Mr.
Chairman,
McCarthy?
I'd like to add the condition for working with DPD to develop a landscape plan.
Okay.
There wasn't one today, and the substantial change to what's there now. And I think that we have the opportunity to develop a landscape plan going forward here, especially with the work being done on the site for the stormwater.
Great.
And
Great.
then the
Great.
condition was that we would install doors to close off the second floor access from the public on the first floor, so that there would be a clear delineation between public and private, since that second floor area is not deemed public.
Okay, so we're looking at a total of 4 conditions, correct?
Correct.
Stormwater, door access for public separation, landscape plan, and administrative review. Are those you amenable to, Mr.?
Yes, I mean, although we are going to be deep into a very expensive project for a 6-month review, I guess that's my only concern.
6-month review. 6-month review is after the occupancy.
Yeah. The 6-month review is it's an administrative process that this board has established and enacted just to ensure that all parties are whole. It has no negative effect on you moving forward immediately with the other conditions as you have submitted this petition and plans.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just not familiar with your administrative process, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll Mr. Clerk will give us those 4 conditions, and if you're in agreement, Mr. Clerk, may I have a motion, please, sir?
Okay, 3, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2020-46 for 153 Hale Street for variance approval under section 6.1.4 for off-street parking to construct a second-story addition to an existing building with the conditions, the following conditions. Number 1, approval of stormwater management plan and issuance of permits. Number 2 is work with DPD on development of landscaping plan and parking areas. Number 3 is to install doors to close off second floor access to the public. And number 4 is 6-month administrative review after occupancy.
Sir, are you in agreement with the 4 conditions?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That being said,
I'd like to second the motion.
May we have a second? Mr. McCarthy is second. May I have a roll call, Mr. Clerk?
Chairman Perrin,
Approval conditions. Sorry.
Member Peck,
Approve conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve of conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Procope.
Approve with conditions.
Sir, you've been unanimously approved. We wish you the best of luck and continued success on the property. And I want to congratulate you. You do have a very well-established professional builder and performance builders, and I wish them the best of luck on the site as well.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Everyone.
Moving forward, good luck, everyone. Moving forward under ZBA 2020-47 for a variance, Christopher Karabatsis at 48 Eleanor Drive, section 5.1. Christopher Karabatsis is seeking variance approval to construct a carport at 48 Eleanor Drive. The property is a suburban single-family SSF zoning district. The carport will require variance approval under section 5.1 for the side yard setback and for any other relief required under Lowell zoning ordinance. Is the petitioner here or a representative thereof?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Jason Shalinski, One Roll Lane, Millbury, Mass.
Good evening, sir. Can you tell us a little bit about this project?
So we're just looking to, as it says, add a carport to the right-hand side of the home. It's attached to the house via the roof. The front will have a garage. We're using the existing extended pavement that is there from the current driveway. Essentially, we're putting a roof on top of it.
This gonna be self-constructed, or is this just an outside company coming into the city? Or is this?
It's actually, I'm the general contractor.
Okay, okay. Just for the record, my only concerns is in the past, we've had carport vendors out of state come in here and put things up that weren't appropriate, so I appreciate the clarification. I'm having a difficult.
I'm sorry, we'll actually stick framing this. We're
Okay.
putting, we got our approval through the Conservation Commission because of the proximity to the wetlands. But we're
Okay.
putting it on techno metal posts. So we're not actually doing any significant excavation.
Okay. Great, I appreciate that. I'm having difficulty opening a document here, and that self-explains it for me. Any other comments, sir, before I open up to the public?
No, be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That being said, I'd like to open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open it up to the board. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I see this as pretty straightforward, meeting the requirements for a variance. If the lot aligned with the structure or the structure aligned with this, we probably wouldn't need this relief because you would receive the 25-foot requirement for side yard with the different two sides added together. So I don't see this as requiring any further kind of issues, except that I would like, can we condition this that no walls would be infilled in the carport, that the carport is strictly a carport, not going to be turned into an enclosed space?
The plan, I'm sorry, I apologize. The plan that currently that we have planned to submit, it does have walls on it. It's simply to get his car out. We're just, I guess the bottom, we're using the existing pavement was the only, I don't know, design feature. He did want to enclose it, so he didn't actually have snow on his vehicle.
So do we have the plans in front on the website, Christine?
They should be up there, yes.
I see the site plan, but I don't see any building plans.
I
Are the
will
building plans available?
check, but they might be on the Concom section. Let me double.
Okay. But what you're saying is that this has walls. So the
Yeah.
walls go down to the ground, but we don't have a foundation?
Correct. We're using techno metal posts. They're helical piles.
Oh, I know what they are, but so the walls probably don't go down to the ground then.
Close. They're not, I mean, I don't know if this helps. I could.
It does help from the front, but I'm looking at the sides. Are the sides enclosed down to the ground?
I don't have an elevation of the side. These were preliminary, but I do have, doing my best to see where the posts are.
No, I understand the structure, but typically I see these as being open for the portion between, maybe the eave and the ground, but you're saying it's closed off.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any concern with flood water because you're in the flood zone?
No, that was part of the original design that we did have, called for a foundation. And because of the excavation and changing of elevation within the yard, we had the redesign done to a techno post, just so, and that's why we decided to use the existing pavement that extends to the back of the house. And essentially putting the roof and walls over it.
Well, I mean, it's probably more an insurance person to worry about this than me, but I'm just thinking, the structure in a flood, you know, you're in the flood zone anyway, is what it is. But you know, you're so close on the setbacks and you meet, I think, the requirements of a variance that I can support this, so. It was just a concern of mine, but I'll let the side walls stay, so. And good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For
you,
the
Dennis.
board, I was able to find a front elevation in the plans if you want me to share my screen.
I just saw it,
Okay.
the gentleman, so that's all that we have though, is the front elevation. That's okay.
Correct. Okay, thank you, Mr. McCarthy. George?
This actually, it looks like a straightforward project. The only question I had was how much of a distance the carport is from the wetlands, because the house is right at the corner. And, you know, I was very curious about that.
It is. They have it closest to carport comes within the wetlands is 33 feet.
33 feet? Okay. Yeah, that was just my concern. If you're in the wetlands and you're in a flood zone, you know, what would happen to the structure if, you know, you get some good sized rain? I don't have any other questions.
Thank you, George. Sean?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, this seems to make sense. I mean, it seems like you definitely meet all the criteria for variance on this. There's clearly a special hardship because you're right next to the flood, right in the border there. And it doesn't. This seems pretty straightforward, and I don't think that there should be any. I don't think there should be any issues. That you should be granted the relief that you're requesting. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I agree with my colleagues. I think this petition has, you know, it's very little impact in the actual neighborhood, and I think my concern with it, or any concerns that anyone had, was, you know, was the wetlands, but it doesn't impact the wetlands area. So I wish the petition the best of luck. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other comments, concerns, conditions? None being said, may I have a motion, Mr. Clerk?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2020-47 for 48 Eleanor Drive for variance approval under section 5.1 for minimum side yard setbacks to construct a carport on an existing site.
May I have a second?
This is Van Peck, Mr. Chairman. I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve.
Member Peck,
Approve.
Member Callahan,
Approved.
Member McCarthy,
Approve.
Member Procope.
Proof.
Well, so you've been unanimously approved. We wish you the best of luck on your project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in tonight.
Good night.
Have a good night, sir. Being said, moving forward under ZBA 2020-40, special permit and variance, K. Ning at 231 Central Street, section 12.1, subsection E, section 6.1.4. K. Ning is seeking to redevelop the existing building at 231 Central Street into 9 residential dwelling units and a ground floor commercial space. The building is a downtown mixed-use DMU zoning district, and the proposal requires special permit approval under section 12.1 subsection E for the use and variance under section 6.1.4 for the residential off-street parking requirement for all of the relief required under the local zoning ordinance. Is there a positioner here or representative thereof?
Yes, good evening, Chairman. This is Trudy Hale for Kay Ning. I believe Kay is on this call as well.
Very well.
As you indicated, Mr. Ning is trying to redevelop that very beautiful building at 231 Central Street, which is currently vacant, and to put in 9 residential units and 1 ground floor commercial unit. If I may address some of the comments at this time for you, Chairman.
Sure.
Specifically, I'd like to talk to you about number 2 of the comments, which has to do with the use of the word live workspace as opposed to apartments or condominiums. For the record, they are going to be apartments, maybe future condominiums, but they are going to be rented. The term was used loosely and just wanted to clarify for the record. Number 4, under the comments, similarly, a loose use of terminology. I've spoken with the architect who, on the plans that are in front of you, has used the word common yard. It is a strip of property behind the building. If you know the property, the footprint of the building pretty much covers the entire lot. This is really an alleyway, and the architect has agreed to change the plans accordingly. And then I guess the last item for discussion is the stormwater issue. I have been in contact with Mike Stewart with regard to this, and similarly, because the footprint is so large, we do not have many significant or available options to rectify the issue. So Mr. Ning has already agreed to pay for an off-site mitigation fee. The only outstanding question, and I have sent over some email communication, is really how, where, and when he makes payment for that.
Okay. Christine?
Yeah, that's interesting. I know the stormwater team has been trying to develop a stormwater program because not all, I mean, it was a historical, downtown historical buildings. I will have Fran follow up with the applicant, but if that's something the board is open to, and it sounds like Mr. Stewart is too, we will figure it out.
Well, they have already calculated a fee, and it's been presented to Mr. Ning, who has agreed to pay the city. Kay, can you clarify? I think it was 13,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just because, we really like to improve the site. It's just because the building footprint is basically the site, right? The lot. We don't really have any other options to improve it.
So if you could just state your name and your address for the public.
Yeah, my name is Kay Ning, 10 South Meadow Drive in Sudbury. So, our proposal is trying to develop the property.
Thank you. Okay. It seems pretty straightforward. Any other comments by the petitioner?
Not at this time. If you have any questions, we certainly would be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That being said, I'd like to open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition. In opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Judge?
It seems fairly, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It seems fairly straightforward. I think any addition downtown would be attractive, would make the city more attractive. I'm a little speechless, but I think it's a decent project. I don't have any issues, no questions. Good luck.
Thank you, Judge. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, as my colleague and the board, I think, and the community as a whole, I think this is an exciting project. I think it's, it's, as we all know, downtown is kind of the heartbeat of the city. I think this is a great repurpose of the mill buildings and like that whole parcel, that property. So I do want to thank Mr. Ning for his investment in the city and the building. I think this project is gonna be a great addition to downtown in the city of Lowell. So I wish you the very best of luck, sir, and thank you. Those are the comments I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dan. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions, but I agree with my fellow board members that this is a great opportunity for the city to receive some big improvements here with an outside investor. So I really look forward to this project going forward. In the comments under comment number 5, there was discussion about bike storage. I was wondering if you could just address that. Is it possible for us to accommodate bike storage on site?
Yeah, we have discussed that with architect. So there are several options. We can put something, several spaces indoor in the hallway, right in front of the entrance. There's a sort of a lobby areas, and also we can put some mailboxes and also I think the storage, the online purchase storages. So we definitely can do something there. The other options, we can put some bike rack in the back alleyways. So those are the options. We're definitely gonna accommodate that. I mean, it's still been fine tuning because that will be part of our building plan or building permit plans, I guess.
Could we make that a condition then, that you'll be working with DPD to develop a plan to address interior bike storage as well as secure packages and potentially outdoor bike storage as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Great. Okay. And then I think that we're basically saying the same thing, but the stormwater, addressing the city's requirement for the stormwater to be addressed, that would be a condition as well. Even though it sounds like it is addressed, but we don't really have a clear answer from the city yet. At least it's still part of one of their conditions that they're looking for.
So it has been addressed in the city, and according to Mike Stewart, we have a final resolution. We just need to execute it, and we need guidance as to where we would pay that mitigation fee.
Well, again, I think that since nothing seems to be in front of us that states that other than what you're saying.
Okay.
As a document, I think it would make sense for us to condition that you'll work with DPD to develop the
100%.
Stormwater requirements for the site.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The exterior of the building, is that being addressed at all? There's no exterior elevations provided. And so I was just wondering what you're doing on the exterior of the building.
Because it's a historical building, we have to keep, especially the front of the street front exactly the same. The bricks are in great conditions, right? It's just the windows. So we have to improve them. So that's what you're asking, right?
Well, I guess, and so the huge windows on the first floor.
Right.
Are we replacing those with more huge windows that are up to code for current conditions?
You mean the storefront windows, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, the thing is we can't change the look, right? So the storefront windows, I think there's 1 or 2 glasses they've broken. We have to replace them with the same size of glass. I mean, we're not going to change the look regardless. So whatever happens, going to be after the renovation will be exactly the same. Will look exactly the same.
And have you received any approvals from the historic group, from the Lowell Historic?
Yeah, I spoke to Steve Solwell. He was on site as well. Basically, he agreed that, all the window, especially, the first floor has been, the major renovation for the window will be on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, where the residential windows are. The first floor mainly, from what I can tell, is just a glass.
Okay.
The glass needs to be repaired.
Okay. Tremendous.
And of course, the door, the front door, all the hardwares, all those need to be repaired or restored.
And just curious, do you have a tenant in mind for the commercial space?
Not yet. So the target is some
you know
kind of a
anyone?
store.
Oh,
Yes,
have
I wish.
Christine, come on, help us out.
Yeah, I mean, so the goal is we're trying, because the first floor used to be a salon school, you know, it has the open space, and we're trying to find some commercial tenant will be, ideally will be a store type of thing. So that would be ideal, and they can use the basement for storage. But that's just the ideal. I mean, it's really depend on, you know, what we can, who we can find.
Okay, well, good luck with that. And
right.
when do you see this project happening?
Well, we're working on every step. So next step is really to apply the building permit. So there's a lot of design element need to be ironed out. So we need to really make this a concept plan to be a construction document. So that's, yeah, we're working on that.
Spring start, or do you have a plan in mind there with the
Yeah,
schedule?
that will be, hopefully everything, if everything smoothly, will be start next year. But we will do some, you know, demolition work. We're actually already starting the demolition work, interior.
Good for you.
All right.
Wonderful. Well, exciting. And I love the fact that it's part of our sustainable Lowell 2025, that it fits right in. So
yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with my fellow board members. This is a very good project. I think that will be very welcoming to the downtown area. A couple questions though. Actually, I think you really answered one of my main questions, Mr. Meng, was with regards to commercial space. I saw on the plans you have first floor, ground floor commercial space, but also basement was labeled as office/commercial space. And I wasn't sure what the intentions were to separate those and have like two separate areas for commercial space, or you're saying the intention is that that commercial space is all going to be just one big area where the ground level will have access to use it as a basement, correct?
Yeah, the basement is just for storage. Yeah, whatever. It's never going to be a separated commercial space. It doesn't make sense. There's no window there. It doesn't make any sense. So basement just, it's really, we divide it into tenant storage and a storage for whoever the tenant upstairs. So be attached to the
commercial
tenant upstairs.
Correct.
Yes, it was a part of the units.
No. Okay, no, that makes sense. No, I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to be leased out as two separate.
No, it doesn't make sense.
One in the
doesn't
basement.
make sense.
All
right.
No.
Yeah.
I got it. That's why we can't know. We gotta check and ask. We gotta ask. That's why.
Right.
That's why it is. So, another question I had too, with regards to the rental units of the apartment. What's the plans for regards to management of the rental units? Are we gonna have on-site management, or?
It's not, well, it's only 9 units. We're not going to be on-site management. I think initially we'll be self-managed. We'll just manage ourselves for the 9 units.
Okay, so just so you're not going to have anybody on site as far as.
Yeah, it's only 9 units. I don't think we can afford anyone to be on site.
I got it. No, just wanted to check in on that. I mean, I think it's still manageable with 9 units. I think you'd be able to.
Right.
Be able to handle that. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Again, I think this is going to be a very great project that you're putting forward. It makes complete sense, and I think as long as you're in agreement with the conditions that you put out there, I think that this could be approved. I could see myself approving this.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Van?
I already commented on this, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I scratched your name on. George?
So did I.
I think everybody commented already, Mr. Chairman. I was the last one, as always.
Yeah, and I was
the cleanup hitter.
You're a cleanup hitter. Well, I don't like to keep a steady roster. So you've heard the comments of the board, sir. I just want to echo their comments. This project on Central Street as part of the downtown area is something that, you know, we look for these types of projects, and the fact that you're willing to come into the city and develop this property, not only for residential units, but for commercial space, is indicative of what we're trying to get going through the jam plan and the judicial center and everything. So greatly appreciate your efforts in choosing the city of Lowell to put forward this type of project. So as mentioned, we have a condition which you're in agreement with. Other than that, any other comments or concerns?
I think we have two conditions if we could.
Two?
One strict
Correct.
for the bike storage and the interior secure storage for package.
Yeah,
Correct.
And this,
so I've worked with EPD to address internal and external storage for bicycles, as well as storage for packages, and work with EPD to develop stormwater plans for the site, even though I understand you're working it out. You just have to.
perfect.
Great. So you're in agreement with that. That being said, may I have a motion with conditions, Mr. Clerk?
So we got a special permit and variance. We have two votes, correct, Christine?
Oh, we have two votes, correct. So if we could move forward with the special permit.
I got a thumbs up, so. Special permit.
Yeah.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2020-48 for 231 Central Street for special permit under section 12.1.E to redevelop building into a 9-unit residential building with 1 ground floor commercial unit with the previously mentioned conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. May I have a second?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Ms. McCarthy, may I have a roll call, please? Ms. McCall.
Chairman Perrin,
Approve of conditions.
Member Peck,
Approve with conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Procope.
Approve with conditions.
Let's see if special permit has been approved. Mr. Clerk, may I have a motion for the variance?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion again on ZB 2020-48 for 231 Central Street for variance approval under section 6.1 for off-street parking to redevelop the building into a 9-unit residential building with 1 ground floor commercial unit with the previously mentioned conditions.
May I have a second, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, this is Van Pack. I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. That being said, may I have a roll call, please, Mr. Clerk?
Chairman Perrin,
I apologize once again, Mr. McCall. I'm excited to get back into chambers where I can see the friendly faces of my colleagues and staring at these walls. Moving forward under public record, approve with conditions.
We got to finish the vote.
Member Peck,
Approve with conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Procope.
Approve with conditions.
Also, you've been unanimously approved. We wish you the best of luck on your project and your continued success doing business in the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Moving forward on the other business, we have a variance extension request at 90 Lupine Road. JAF 27 LLC has requested to extend their 10/25/219 variance approval by 1 year due to the pandemic. The applicant received variance approval to construct a new single-family dwelling on a vacant parcel. The proposal required variance approval for minimum lot area, minimum frontage, floor area ratio, FAR pursuant to section 5.1 of Lowell zoning ordinance. Is the petitioner here or representative?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Kenneth Laney of Cornerstone Land Associates representing JAF 27 LLC. We
Good
are
evening.
here. Yeah, how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
All right, good to hear you. We're requesting this variance, just it's been a little bit difficult to obtain the financing to work this project out. We have several other projects ongoing at the time. And we were hoping to begin this one in the spring of next year. And we're looking for the variance request extension in order to be able to obtain that financing and start construction in April.
Very well. That being said, I'd like to open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? That portion of public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is closed. At this point, any comments or concerns by any board members? Mr. Van Peck.
To you, Mr. Chairman, it makes sense, the extension request. It's kind of still an unsettling time for a lot of people. So I totally understand, and I have no issues with the granting an extension request, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean.
Thank you for Mr. Chairman. I don't generally have an opposition to the extension. But when these extensions come before, I just want to double check and make sure if we had any. I'm not sure if we had any conditions on this matter. Christine, I don't know. I don't seem to see the previous granting on there on the site. Do you know if there were any conditions that were set on this? I usually just, Ms. Lane, I just want to try to get a status on what the conditions. What the status is. I guess first to Christine, are there any conditions, do you know?
It doesn't look like the decision is in the file, but I do remember this project and I do believe there were a number of conditions. So the board, you could just say per the 2019 decision. But I don't know what the specific ones. I don't have.
Maybe you probably have a better idea. Did we have any conditions on this?
Yes, we do.
Do you know what the status is?
So the conditions were, I'm looking at the variance approval, and it says driveway dimensions and lot size dimensions shall be provided on a revised plan to DPD.
Okay. All right. You're still working on that, though. Right.
And that was voted on a unanimous 5-0.
Okay. All right. No, I'd like to check the status. If there were any conditions, I usually like to check the status when there's this extension request just to see where we're at. Again, I don't generally have an opposition to granting the extension on this under the circumstances. Seems to make sense. So I wish you luck.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Dennis?
Through Mr. Chairman, I agree with this extension, given these times. I have said on previous projects that we've had to provide extensions that it's amazing that projects are going forward with the amount of difficulty that we're going through right now. So I think that showing some compassion here for the applicant makes sense and providing the extension. So I am in favor of it.
Thank you, Dennis. George?
Yeah, I'm in favor as well. I mean, pandemic's affecting everybody in all aspects, so I definitely don't have a problem with the extension.
Right. Thank you. So that being said, may I have a motion, Mr. Clerk? Extension?
Did you hear me? Okay.
You back? Welcome
Okay.
back.
Thank you.
For the extension, please.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on 90 Lupine Road to extend the previously granted variances for 1 year.
With the approved conditions, may I have a second?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. May I have a roll call, Ms. McCall?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve the extension with the previous conditions from the 2019 ruling.
Member Peck,
Approve the extension with the previous mentioned conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve extension for 1 year with previously mentioned conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve the extension for 1 year with the previous mentioned conditions.
Member Procope,
Approve the extension for 1 year with the previous mentioned conditions.
Very well, Ms. Lane, you've been approved. We appreciate your time tonight.
Excellent.
Well,
Thank you very
the
much,
best
Mr. Chairman,
moving
members of the
forward.
board. Really appreciate
you
it.
for signing
You guys have a great evening.
Pleasure. Thank you. You too. Moving forward under other business, we have minutes for approval from October 26, 2020. Anyone have any comments, concerns, edits? None being noted, may I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for October 26, 2020.
May I have a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman. George.
George? May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Accept the minutes for October 26th,
Member
2020.
Peck,
Approve the minutes.
Member Callahan,
Approved minutes for October 26, 2020.
Member McCarthy,
Approve the minutes for October 26th.
Member Procope.
Accept the minutes for October 26th.
Very well. Any other comments and concerns?
Three, Mr. Chairman, I just have one, if possible, for the next meeting on the 23rd that came up on 50 Wentworth Ave.
Okay.
I don't know if the applicant has been in front of Lowell with a previous project. And I was hoping that maybe, Christine, you could understand if he is someone who has done projects in the city before or is currently doing a project in the city. The reason I raised it is that there was some confusion. Maybe he was involved in a project on Wentworth, on Westford Street, but I'm not quite sure if he was. So I don't know if you could, I think you're going to be back in front of us on the 23rd, correct, Christine?
Yes, I will. I will be.
It looks like a
Actually-
busy day too. We got 7 projects on that day.
So
Actually, can I say something?
yes,
Yeah, I'm actually I'm just trying to get myself to the Zoom meeting. That's why I'm here today. But I'm the Tan Pham. I'm the applicant for the 50 Wentworth.
great.
Can I talk now, or do I have to? Can I answer Mr. McCarthy question, or it's not legal to answer now?
It's
Oh,
up
okay.
to you, Chairman Perrin.
Yeah, no, certainly if you have a comment, sure, we'd be more than happy to hear it. Mr. McCarthy has raised the question and he's
Yes.
entitled to the
So
answer.
I have previously applied before. I'm the one who applied for Westford Street, just like Mr. McCarthy said. Yep.
Is that the 152 or 153 Westford Street?
153 Westford Street.
Okay, so maybe what I was looking for is just some status on that project, because it appears that there was some work done, building was torn down, now the site's kind of like dormant. And so that's kind of important for us to know what we're working with as far as a developer in the city. And I would just like to have an update with your status on that site, if possible,
Yes.
for the meeting.
Yes, it's so basically we took down the garage, and because of the pandemic, it's a little slower than expected, but we got the rough plumbing, rough electrical check off. So the next step is we're gonna get the drywall, and then we did the roof. We did the sidings. Actually, we did a lot. It looks like that, but we did a lot. Yeah. So I don't think it will take a long time to be done. Because all we have to do left is the drywall and the finish work, because we got the plumbing, rough electrical, rough plumbing checkup. Yep. And then
If it pleases the board, I will have staff put 153 Westford Street under other business and just provide a brief memo updating it.
That's what I'm hoping for. Thank you.
That's perfect,
Yep.
Christine. As always, your forthright and professionalism comes through.
Terrific.
Okay, does that satisfy your concerns, Mr. McCarthy?
Sure does. Yes, it does.
Okay,
Yes.
great. All right, sir, well, we appreciate your comments, and someone from the city will be reaching out to you, and we'll handle this internally and be prepared for the next meeting. That being said, any other comments or concerns from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I think I'd just like to take this opportunity at this time. Want to congratulate one of the local barristers who has been before this board numerous times on his appointment to the Massachusetts District Court, Attorney Stephen Geary. Attorney Geary has always done a great job in front of this board representing his clients. And as a frequent practitioner of the district court, I'm looking to see the roles reversed where I will be going in front of him. So congratulations to Attorney Geary on his appointment to the Massachusetts District Court, and look forward to working with him in the future. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Sean. Any other comments? None being said, make a motion to adjourn.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
We have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mr. McCarthy. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Christine, welcome back. We appreciate your
Yes.
stepping up and taking the additional roles on.
Wait till the next meeting. We now have like 9 things on the agenda. So Christine's gonna. You bring the coffee. Bring the coffee and donuts, Christine.
That's
Yeah,
it.
for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
thank
Ted.
you for
Yeah.
having me. It's good to be back.
Always a pleasure. Thanks. See you guys.
Great. Take care.
All right, gentlemen. Take care.
Have a good night. Have a good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night.
Bye.